Today I'm going to be showing you guys how I made my dragon bodice. If you haven't already, go watch my tutorial on how I make my patterns because I will be starting out this video with the base of the bodice already made because I don't want to have to go over how I do the pattern before every single video. So I made a separate video for that, so I'll link that in the description if you don't want to go find it yourself. But it's really not that hard to find. So let's jump right into it. This is about, the camera's a little shaky, this is about what the base of it looks like. It kind of wraps all the way around. You can see it closes up the back, just like so. The base of the bodice itself is made of 5mm EVA foam. I make almost all of my armor out of 5mm EVA foam. I did not make a new pattern for this bodice. I took my usual pattern, which is a front piece and a back piece, and I kind of just pieced it together and altered it as I went so that it was all one piece that connected in the back. I don't recommend doing that. I recommend just making a whole new pattern. I thought that it would save me time, and it did not do that. So learn from my mistakes and do it the easy way instead of trying to fudge your way through things just to save a few minutes. After I finished the base, I then went on to draft the patterns for like the shoulder spikes that go up over my arms, these things. I started that by taping a piece of paper to the base, drawing out where the top of it sat, and then sketching out the shape that I wanted the arm piece to be. And then I drew out the part that goes under my arm right here, this whole darker strip that goes over, around, and over and around in the back. That whole part is separate from the main base. I drafted out patterns for those and glued them on separately. So that's what I'm doing here. It's just a lot of taping it on and everything. When I got the shape that I felt like was good, I cut that out and I taped it to the bodice, and I started drafting out the rest of the piece that goes under my arm around to the back, drawing out where the top of the bodice ends and then where I want the piece to actually sit. There's also a strip along the bottom, so I drafted that out the same way, taping paper to the bottom, drawing the shape of it that I wanted, cutting it out and taping it on to make sure it would fit. When I finished that, I traced all of the patterns that I had made. I traced them onto 2mm EVA foam. It's a little bit more flexible, so I didn't want the straps to be too bulky. It's also thin enough that you can cut it out with scissors, which really just goes faster and a bit more exact than cutting it out with a knife. And now I have all my little patterns. I then proceeded to draw the shape of one of the scales and cut that out. And then I traced it carefully onto 1mm EVA foam. That's a full sheet. There's I think there was 90 scales on it, and I have to do a whole other one. And I still didn't have enough, so I had to make more. I calculated that I made about 200 scales. You can also cut these out with scissors. I recommend that because I can't imagine how irritating that would be to cut out with a knife. I think this was a pile about half the scales. It might have been all of them. And then I started gluing them on. I used hot glue. You see here, there's silver lines on the bottom, about like an 1.5-inch of space. That's where this band is going to sit on the bottom. I thought it'd make more sense to glue the scales on first and then put the band on. I wish that I had put it on first and then just cut off the bottoms of the scales where I wanted them to sit, because it would have made it easier. It would have made it look a lot smoother. So if you are going to make this pattern, put the bottom edge on first and then glue the scales on. But I marked out where it was going to be so that I knew how low down to glue the scales. Typically I'll use super glue for stuff, but I knew I was going to need a very large amount, and hot glue is significantly cheaper than super glue. I stopped a little way in because I knew I wanted to put the bottom edge on before I finished doing the scales. So I did use super glue for this, figured out which pieces went where, figured out exactly where I wanted them to be, and then carefully glued them on. And you can see that silver line peeking out because I did trace where I wanted it to sit when you were to glue the scales. I put it over the scales. I just used a little extra super glue to make sure it would stay down better. If you're doing this, make sure you put that edge on before you do the scales because it would be so much easier. After I finished gluing the bottom edges on, I then proceeded to glue on over 200 scales. And you can see the little diamond shapes at the top. I kept holding up the top edge to see where it would sit, to see how much it would cover. There were spots that I knew only the littlest tip of one of the pieces would show, so I took some of the extra little scraps of foam that came out from between the scales when I was cutting them out, and I glued them on like right mostly under the edge so that just the little tip was poking out, because I knew that's all I needed. So that's why there's not scale shapes. I didn't want to cut out any more scales. I was going insane. So you can see how nice it looks on the spots where the bottom edge does not go over the scales. And you can see in the front where it does go over the scales, it's a little lumpier. It doesn't look as good. After I put on all the scales, I started putting on the top edges. Same way, just gluing them on little bit by little bit. This is the very front piece where it meets here. I glued it together before I put it on because I wanted it to fit really well, and I needed this arm piece to come up and meet right there. I needed that seam to be glued together really well, so I measured where the front part was going to sit before I finished gluing this one down so that I could stretch it up until it met this part. Then I glued that front piece down as close to the middle as I could find, and then attached it. And it fit perfectly, and there it is all put together. Obviously, these things weren't connected. I planned to sew little snaps on them so that I could just snap them closed. So I did that. I sewed snaps on. It did end up being not strong enough with the snaps. I made these arm pieces too low, too small, so they sat right on the corner of my shoulder. So I raised my arm at all, they snapped apart. So I ended up having to alter the shoulders so that they sat up a little higher and were a little bit longer. I recommend being more diligent about checking how the pattern is fitting as you're going so that you don't have to do severe alterations. I did alter it so that these sat up higher so that I can raise my arm up to about here before it starts to snap apart. But I can just pull my arm out and then snap it back together. Otherwise, I really wouldn't be able to get in and out of this thing. After I was done sewing the snaps on, I then proceeded to make all of these little spikes out of air dry foam clay. I'm not great at sculpting, so I just figured it out as I went along. I tried making some of them that shape in advance, and other ones I tried shaping while it was already on the armor. I kind of fiddled around until I found what worked for me. So you can see here I'm using gray clay now and not black. I actually ran out of my foam clay and I had to go buy more, but they didn't have the kind I usually used. So I bought a new kind and it was gray. Oh yeah, you can see here how I added Velcro to strengthen the shoulders a little bit because the snaps weren't quite enough. There's the whole thing all primed and ready to be painted. And I put air dry foam clay spines along all of these borders on the bottom edge and all over the top edge. Once everything was primed and the primer had dried, I began painting the spiny edges with a dark red. I also painted the inside of each of the straps. As you can see, you can kind of see the inside of this edge. You wouldn't want that to be black. It would just look bad. So I painted those red. Here's the whole thing painted. The paint that I use dries darker than it looks originally. There's a lot to be taken into account when using cheap paints. I always test what it'll look like dried so I know the color. I knew I wanted these to be dark, but it looks lighter when you're first painting it. After I finished painting everything, I took a darker red. I would paint a little line just in the crease between each spike, and then I'd take a little piece of paper towel and I would wipe it up, kind of smudging it. You can see the tip, how much better that looks than the rest of it. The rest of it looks very plain. I wanted to add some depth so that the end of each spike was lighter than the base. I just repeated that with every single one of them, painting the bottom edge and then smearing it up, just like that. You can see how much better the part that's done looks than the part that isn't done. And I did that all around the front part as well. So it's definitely a process that requires a lot of patience. But look how good it looks when it's done. But it's not done. I kept going. I added more paint because then I took a darker shade of reddish purple and I did almost the same process. I did less and I didn't smear it up as far. And once I had smeared it, I drew very deliberate little lines and I did not smear them. I actually wanted the lines to be there. But as it dried, it started to look so good. There, you can see how good that looks. Each of those little lines. I didn't want to cover the first layer of dark paint, which is why I didn't smear it up as high. It sort of just layered it on, but then those little lines really helped to add more texture and more depth. I was really happy with how it ended up looking. Obviously, this is sped up. It takes a very long time to do all of that. It's a very time-consuming process. Once you get a feel for it, you kind of fall into a rhythm. Here is the whole thing After I finished painting, I clear coated the edges, and then I took a lighter shade of red and I started painting the scales. Now this red does dry significantly darker than it looks right now. It's very, very light right now. You kind of have to paint all the scales individually. There's a lot of little crevices and crannies you have to get into, and you probably will have to go over the entire thing twice. I realized as I was painting the scales that I did forget a step with the spikes, so I went back to do those, which also meant that I had to clear coat the entire thing again. But I took lighter red than I had been using on the spines, and I drew lines right up the middle and down the outer edges to add a little bit of definition between one spike and the next, because the dark paint that I had smeared would kind of get up on the spine before it. So painting over that with a lighter red made a really beautiful definition between the spines. Unfortunately, most of this stuff you don't even get to see on camera. I don't have the best camera, so it doesn't show up very well. So a lot of the very, very intricate details that I did, you can't even really see. After I did that, I clear coated it again, and then I went back to painting the scales. Every painstaking one of them. And like I said, there was over 200. That's what it all looks like when the scales are painted. I then went in with a very slightly shade of darker red. I painted under anything that was overlapped. I painted a little shadow under it. It's still wet, so you can see that shiny part, the shadow. And it might seem unnecessary, but it looked beautiful when I was done. It adds so much depth. You can see how nice all those shadows look. And I proceeded to do that under every single edge that had an overlap on all 200 of these scales. But look how nice that looks! How much better the shadowed parts look than the unshadowed parts. A little bit of pain and suffering is worth it in the end because it looks so much better. Because look how flat those look, and look how nice those ones look. And that's the whole thing done being shadowed. After that, I took a lighter shade of red. Again, this will dry a little bit darker than it looks right now. It does look a lot lighter. So I traced the very outer edge of each scale, not all the way up to the top, but just the bottom outer edge. And then I would draw a line, a little teeny line up the middle. Again, not all the way up, about halfway up, like that. And I did that with all 200 of the scales. And I know it looks a little odd with the color right now, but clear coated, it looks great. Very shiny, I'm sorry. It's not entirely necessary, but again, it adds a little bit of extra depth. This is the whole thing done, but not clear coated. That's why it looks dull. And then I proceeded to clear coat the entire thing. And again, just like the painting, you have to go over each scale individually because there's so many little crevices between them. This is not a project for the faint of heart by any means. When you're clear coating stuff, and also when you're priming things, do not forget to get your edges. They're important. And that is the whole thing done. I still can't get over how beautiful it looks. I hope this was helpful. If you end up using this to make your very own dragon bodice, make a little video of the finished project and tag me in it because I really want to see what you guys can make, and that'll be really cool. If you enjoy the video, please leave a like. It really helps the channel to grow, and that would mean a lot to me. I hope you all have a good day, and I'll see you in the next one.